So, you guys, I told y'all about how I used to go through a lot growing up. I had really big boobs. I was the only child. A lot of the times I had to, stand my own ground against people. Um, a lot of the things that I went through, looking back, as I get older, I would not change anything because how you heard people say that makes you who you are, to that very day. Very much so. And, as a child, I used to, um, I used to hate being around certain people. I used to hate going to some of the schools that I went to because, it just, it was just, I told y'all at one point in time, I was just fighting everybody. I did not give a F-U-C-K no more. I just didn't care, but now that I'm older, a lot of those people, that's why I tell young children, a lot of those people that I went to school with, including the girl in this story that I'm about to tell you about, her and her family as well. A lot of those people that used to clown me, I'm doing a lot better than them now. I look at some of the, where, their situation and, not to say compared to mine's, like, but, that's why I always tell young kids, go to school, get an education. If you're not, a school person, go to the military. If you're not a military person, go get a trade. I'm a big advocate for, doing what works for you. Like I told y'all before, when I came on this app, I said I wasn't going to be something I'm not. I've been told my voice is very soothing by multiple people in my lifetime. So I told myself that I wasn't going to come up here and try to, you know, um, you know, put up a front, change my voice, or change who I am for anybody. I'm not changing who I am for none of you. None of you. And I already had said, basically who gonna F with it, and who ain't. Point blank, period. I'm not gonna change nothing about me. I may tell y'all a story time, or I may give y'all an example. But basically to make it a little interesting. But for the most part, I'm not changing nothing about me. For the people up here on this, red app named YouTube, for the people up here that are younger, I know sometimes, in my opinion, you should be at least 18 on YouTube because it is certain topics up here that I don't feel children should hear. But if you are, younger than 18, I want you to know if you're going through anything in school, I want you to stay in school. I don't want you to drop out. For the people out there that are younger and they need a little sign of hope if they should go on, I'm your sign of hope. I'm your sign. I feel oftentimes, even for me, I've been told since I'm older, that I should be a counselor for young girls. I've been told that multiple occasions by different people. They could see me as a counselor for young girls that, at-risk teens. I don't think so. Like my guy friend told me the other day, if it's meant to be, it's going to happen regardless if you want it to or not. Like I told him, I'm in school for something totally different. But like he said, if it's meant to be, if that's what God has in his will for me, it's going to happen, whether I like it or not. I don't think that's what God has in agenda for me, but I've been told that, but by multiple people. But nevertheless, I want you all to know, for those out there that, go through a lot in school and they, just, they sick of it. I want you to know that I've been in that boat before. I know how it is. I know how, that can make life, not to say hard, but it can be very discouraging, but I want you to know that it's okay. So, that was my little disclaimer. Um, and, I just want you to know that you are somebody, and don't let those kids in school, bring you down. Don't let them make you feel like you're any lesser than what they are, because you're not. You're not, by no means. And keep your head up. Keep doing you, and F what the haters got to say. So that's my disclaimer. So I'm going to take y'all all the way back to elementary school. This is where it first started, the beef, right? Okay, so once upon a time, I'm not dropping no names in none of my stories, right? Sidebar. If I know some story times that people do, they're like over energetic, and they're like, yeah, and then she did this and I did that, and then she did this and I did that. That's not the goal of this story time. This is not going to be one of those story times. If this is what you're looking for in this particular story time, maybe you should go look at another story time for somebody else. I told y'all before, I'm going to talk like me. I'm not going to do all that. But if that's what you're looking for, I'm going to save you some time and just go ahead and click off. This is more of a message. I wouldn't say it's inspiration, but I would say it's more so, I'm aiming more towards the younger audience, if that makes sense. I'm not aiming to entertain you. Well, entertain you, but I'm not gonna be, yeah, and she did, and it is not gonna do all that. It's not gonna be giving all that. It's more so, kind of, I'm trying to reach the people out there that are a little more discouraged, if that makes sense, right? So if that's not what you're looking for, I'm gonna save you some time. Just go ahead and click off, right? Okay, so boom. So the beef first started in elementary school, right? As you know, I don't name any names in none of my story time, so we're just gonna call this person, what can I call her? We're just gonna call her Bed Bugs, right? So Bed Bugs in elementary school, she had a lot of mouth, right? So, as you could tell by her nickname, she was dirty, right? So she had a lot of mouth in elementary school. She used to pick a lot, very bad, right? So she was one of them girls that she could say something to you, and let's say like her family around, right? Or let's say around that time she only had like one or two cousins that went to my elementary school, right? So she was one of those girls that she'll say what she got to say to you when her cousins are around. But I'm the type of person, I told y'all, I'm the only child. I'm the type that I'm going to get you by yourself, right? And I'm going to see, do you have the same energy that you had when you were around your people, right? So, boom. So, that's where we bumped heads at a lot. She will always do stuff, and she would go call the dogs, if that made sense, right? So, boom. So, some time went on. We got to middle school, right? So, you're going to see why I brought her up, okay? So, when we got to middle school, she had more cousins, if that made sense. She had, and me being me, by myself. I didn't have sisters or brothers. I didn't have cousins that went to that particular school. It was just me, right? So as you know, if you're the only child, for all the only childs out there, you already know how that go when it's time to, get it cracking. So she had more cousins. So for some particular reason, everybody that she was kin to, it seemed like went to that school. I know not all her family, but you get what I'm saying, figure of speech. It seemed like everybody went to this particular school. So me being me, at that particular time, I had a good Judy. So if you don't, which that's gonna be a story time for another day, as far as her and these people, I'm telling you, she turned out to be a fraud. Okay. And looking back, she kept a lot of stuff going. And now that I'm a little older, now I can look back, I would not doubt if a lot of the times stuff happened, like as far as stuff going on, looking back, I would not doubt a lot of the times she was in the middle. Because a lot of times you don't realize it right then, but a lot of the times I think looking back, she used to stir the pot. 1 minute she over there with me, 1 minute she over there with them. I think it was more so a lot of that going on now that I'm older, right? So boom. So she was but Bed Buzz, I'm gonna say her name. Bed Buzz used to say a lot of things under her breath. She was one of those females that she'll make a lot of sound effects, and she'll say a lot of sly remarks, and just say a lot of things just unnecessary. And then when you call her out on it, what are you talking about? What? I didn't even say it. Girl, what are you talking about? She was one of those people that do stuff like that, and then but when it seemed like she got around her family, it seemed like she'll say it with her chest, right? So boom. So some time went on. Mind you, we've been beefing since the 4th grade. So mind you, I think we was about in the 8th grade by then. By the time me and her cousin finally had our face off. I'm gonna get to that, right? So by the time we got in the 8th grade, you would think we would have had fought by now, right? We never fought. We never fought. To this day, me and Bed Bugs, we never had our toe-to-toe, because every single time it was time for us to have our toe-to-toe, she would never swing. And I done pull her card multiple times in the hallway. She would never swing. And like I will always say, I always told bitches growing up, well, they will always say, you didn't fight me and I didn't fight you. Like I always, if a bitch ever tell you or try to pull your card about rumbling, you tell her, just like I could have swung, you could have swung. And see what she say then, right? Because it goes both ways, right? So me being me, I will always say to her, if it's something you want to say, just say it. I'm not saying anything. You're crazy. Bitch, you're crazy. She will always try to paint the picture like, I'm crazy, like I'm overreacting, but you clearly saying shit under your breath. She was one of those people, right? So boom. So I ended up fighting a girl on a bus ramp. And I'm the one that got sent to an alternative school. And she was the one that was still in school. I had got 10 days sent to an alternative school. And she was still in middle school, right? Well, we were all still in middle school, but she was still in like the regular school, if that made sense. So that's why I ended up at the alternative school. Which that fight on the bus ramp, that's gonna be another story time for another day. That's a whole nother person. I told y'all I went through a lot growing up, so I'm gonna give y'all a lot more story times. I went through a lot, so that's a whole nother person. In which, going back to the good Judy at the particular time, I don't drop names, but that good Judy, we just gonna name her Musty, right? We just gonna name her Musty. So looking back, Musty used to play a lot of sides. She used to, mind you, all these people that, except for the one that I was fighting on the bus ramp, we gonna call her Unibrow. Okay, so the unibrow, that's gonna be a story time for another day. But looking back, I think Musty used to, I think she used to start a pot. Looking back, because the only reason why me and Unibrow got to fighting on the bus ramp is because Musty told me some stuff that she had apparently said. And then it's so crazy because in high school, Unibrow, once we finally got into the point where we was on speaking terms, she told me, and by the way, I always wanted to tell you, I did not say that. So I don't know what she was talking about. So looking back, I think Musty, because Musty had a problem with Unibrow, which they ended up fighting. But after I fought unibrow. They ended up fighting, but I think low key, a lot of the times looking back, I think Musty used to use me to handle her dirty work. Like looking back, I'm older now, and I realized a lot of the times when she would get into it with people, she would always say, "Well, I don't have to fight you. My best friend, she can thump. She'll handle my lightweight." And I think a lot of the times, looking back now that I'm older and a little more mature, I think she used to use me to fight her battles a lot of the time. So a lot of the times when she would have problems with people, I think she would come and tell me certain stuff they supposedly said about me so I could fight them for her, so she could see me beat them up so she won't have to do it. Looking back, I really think that's what was going on. But you know, you older, you was younger, you didn't really see the bigger picture. So yeah. So by the time I got to the alternative school, we just gonna call this girl welfare. So welfare was cousins with bed bugs. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they were first cousins. Now going back to bed bugs, if y'all remember just then I told y'all we've been beefing since elementary school, right? So bed bugs had a twin sister. We're gonna call her food stamps, right? And you'll see why I called them that at the end, towards the end of the story, right? Going back to, I want y'all to keep y'all head up. Don't be discouraged for people, clowning you, putting you down, stuff like that. Don't be discouraged. We're gonna get back to that, right? So, this for all the young girls out there that, people talk about your clothes, talk about your hair, or your size, or whatever the case may be, whether you're too big, too small, too skinny, too fat, too short, too stark, whatever they bean pole, whatever they call you, keep your head up. You're gonna see why I mentioned it, right? So yeah, so I'm in middle school, right? So um going back to, me, going to the alternative school, and I told y'all how um welfare ended up, matter of fact, to be honest, every person in this story time is on the system. For the most part, I don't know if Musty is on the system, because she's right now at this point she's a big time stripper. I'm not gonna say her name, because if I say her name, y'all probably gonna know who I'm talking about. So let's just say she travels. She makes I give her props where it's due. She make good money. My aunt is real close to them, so she mind you, my dudes to this day, she still love her. One thing my dudes love about Musty, when uh we fell out peacefully. Like, you know how some people fall out with their friends and then it's all on social media, everybody know about it. One thing I can say about us, when we fell out, it was very peaceful. You just didn't see us with each other no more. Of course, I'm giving you the story time now. I want to give you an example of, for the young girls, of, what kind of stuff you need to look out for. That way you'll know, okay, in your brain, maybe this is something I need to be aware of. Like, for example, her always coming to me telling me what somebody has said. Sidebar, if you got a friend that's always coming to you telling you what somebody has said, that's a red flag. Because especially if your friend knows you are the type of person that, not to say fireball, but they know you the type of person that has a fuse. Watch that. Because one thing I've learned since I've been older, real friends, if they heard somebody say something about you, they gonna check that shit right then and there, they self. It's no need for them to come back and tell you, because they already handled the situation. Why are you coming back to tell me if you not already said what you had to say to this person on my behalf? It's no need for you to come back and tell me, because they should have left that conversation with an understanding that this is my friend. This is this person's friend, and it's nothing that this person could come to me and tell me about this person because this is my friend. You get what I'm saying? Like, they not gonna keep coming to you telling you everything because, for one thing, like in my situation, she already knew that I kept getting in trouble for fighting, and if I kept getting in trouble, it was gonna be the consequences as far as the school system was gonna be more and more severe. So because at that particular time I was a repeat offender. I kept fighting. So why in the hell are you keep telling me things that's gonna keep getting me put in these situations, which I'm my own person. I could think for myself. But still, why are you telling me everything that people are saying when you already know how I am? If that makes sense. So boom. So in the middle school, going back to welfare, going to the middle school, the alternative school, mind you, she already had known how I was because as far as fighting, because I told y'all the fight, everybody knew about the fight on the bus ramp, right? So plus, that's number one. Plus number two, when she had known about me, she had brought up how well, not known about me, heard about me, quote unquote, anyway. She had said my sister had already said she had to pull you to the side. Well, she didn't pull me to the side. Like I told her, I said she called herself calling me out in the lunch line. But anyway, she had said something along the lines of which her sister told her part of the story. That's why I say people go back and tell their people what they want to tell them. Okay? So she said, mind you, it all happened, originated from bedbug, right? So food stamps came up and asked me in the lunch line. She said, I heard you got beef with they called her nickname. I can't say her nickname. And I said, who is that? Because first of all, I never knew that who this particular person was. And we had two people in our class by that name, right? So I'm like, and who is this? And she told me, she mentioned the first and last name. And I said, oh yeah, we had beef again. I told y'all since elementary school. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. She said, well, why y'all ain't fought yet? How y'all? And I said, I don't know. Every time I pull her car, she don't want to rumble. And she said that, nah, not my cousin. My cousin, we don't get down like that. So how y'all gonna handle this? And I said, we gonna handle it however we gonna handle it. I'm waiting on her. And she said, okay, I need to let her know this. I said, well, I've been telling her. She said, okay, well, y'all gonna have to handle this. I didn't know that it was a problem, an ongoing problem since elementary school. Why the hell y'all ain't handled it yet? To this day, y'all, I'm in my mid-20s. We never handled it. We never handled it. Not her, not every time it was time to thump me and Bedbugs, we never thumped. So with that being said, so going back to the alternative school, welfare kept picking, right? So mind you, I had told y'all at this particular point, by me being in this alternative school, my grandfather was sick. That's number one. I was to the point where this around this particular time and moment in time, I just got to the point where I was just tired. I was tired of going to school and people kept effing with me. I was tired of kept getting suspended. I was tired. My dudes was they was getting really hard on me. They was already hard on me because, like I always say, when you have a rebellious child, you have to deal with them differently than other children, if that makes sense. So they was really hard on me. So I just got to the point where I was wilding. Like, every time I would get suspended, I kept getting beat with extension cords and switches. They was trying to get me to do right. So I was just looking back, you know, I realized the reason why they were doing that, but nonetheless, so I think what really did it for me as far as me fighting welfare was because I just got tired of her picking. I felt like I got tired I was dealing with bedbug ever since elementary school. I was dealing with her. Then in the other school, I had to deal with her twin sister, food stamps. And then they used to have a lot of bitches that used to be followers. You know how the flunkies and stuff, and I had to deal with them and they flunkies, and I was just tired. I was just tired of it, and I just got to the point where I was like, F it, I fight all y'all. So, one particular time, I had just got suspended from fighting another girl. That's gonna be another story time for another day. We're gonna call her Scarface. Because she had a slash across her face where she had fought somebody and they had slashed her face. Now that we are older, me and Scarface got on talking terms towards the end of the school year, but that's gonna be another story time. Well, before I had got long term suspended. Before I got long term suspended, we got on talking terms. But now that we're older, she wears a lot of foundation. She still got that slash on her face too, but she wears a lot of foundation. You don't even know it's there. But anyway, so what really did it for me, we was at the lunch table, right? So she was one of those ones that me being me, I'm not gonna try to go sit at a table where basically I know I'm not welcome. So I'm gonna go sit somewhere else. I've never been the type of bitch that kiss ass to make friends. I've never been that girl. I don't mind sitting by myself. I'm not about to sit in y'all face, give y'all heavy compliments, give y'all heavy ass kissing just to sit with y'all. I'm not gonna do that. I'll go sit at the table by myself. I don't give a F-U-C-K. That's me. I'll stand alone any day, all day, 365 a year. I don't give a F, right? So I'm sitting at the table, minding my business, eating my lunch, got my head down, I got a lot on me. So what did it for me was she slammed that tray down across from me. Mind you, she been picking this welfare now, right? So she been picking. At this point, I just didn't even care. So she said something along the lines. I told y'all she brought up how she said out her mouth. She slammed her lunch down. She said, I heard. First of all, I just want to tell you, I heard about your fight on the bus round, and I want to let you know what you did to her, you would not do to me. Talking about unibrow now, right? So I guess that was her little disclaimer of letting me know shit not about to go down between me and her the way it went down between me and unibrow, right? I told y'all everybody had heard about that fight. So that's number one. And then she brought up how I told y'all me and her twin food stamps called herself calling me out in the lunchroom, in the lunch line, about me and bed bugs. Mind you, these are family. They're all family, right? So, they didn't take kind to that because they were one of those families that, they had a golden rule, one fight, all fight. They had that golden rule, and the twin was one of those people, and I imagine I'm quiet the whole time she's talking. I guess she was trying to intimidate me. I'm quiet the whole time she's talking. And I'm just looking down, eating my lunch, right? So, in the end of the conversation, she says to me, after she said what she had to say, she said, "You got anything you want to say?" And mind you, I'm still quiet, right? The whole time she's talking, I'm just quiet. And she said, "Oh," and mind you, I ain't say nothing back. She said, "Oh, I thought so. You better not had not said nothing, right?" That's so weird, y'all. My door started moving on its own. And don't nobody stay here but me. Y'all heard that shit? Oh my God, my door moving on its own. In the name of Jesus. That's so weird. In the name of Jesus. It never does that. Anyway. So, looking back now that I'm older, that's why I always tell people I'm realizing, since I've been older, people always come to me about advice as far as, they're a teenager that they're not understanding, or especially like the hot-headed children. But I always tell people, number one, if your child is a little bubbly, and I can't tell people about their children, but I mean, for the people out there that actually ask me for advice, I never give it without being asked. But anyway, um, if your child is a little bubbly and all of a sudden you're noticing they're starting to like get super quiet, watch that, because nothing happens for no reason. It could be something that they're not telling you. I don't care if you're the type of parent that your child can come to you and talk to you about anything. Still, if they're too quiet, something is up with that. And they're not gonna tell you every single thing. As much as people want to say that my child, no, she could talk to me, he can talk to me about anything. Children gonna tell you what they want to tell you. Okay, the facts are the facts. But if they're too quiet, watch that. Because looking back now that I'm older, a lot of the times when I used to fight the most, like from the point I was in the 7th grade through the 8th grade, I fought the most. Mind you, I have fought in high school, I have fought in elementary school, but I fought the most in my lifetime thus far. I mean, not no just verbally, actually fist fights. Um, 7th and the 8th grade, between the 7th and the 8th grade, and that was the time period when I was the quietest. Like, I was not speaking as much, as far as I wasn't using my words. I wasn't very verbal. I balled up my fist and talk later. We'll talk about it later, but we're gonna fight first. I told y'all just then, me and Unibrow, we didn't get to the bottom of it until high school after we had already fought. It wasn't really much to talk about. I knew it was a problem and it had to be addressed. And the only way to address it was physical, if that made sense. So I told y'all, if you have a child that's bubbly and they're not really being verbal with you, look into that. Look into that, because it's something up with that. Nothing happens for no reason. It's a reason for everything. So look into that. And I think looking back, welfare took my silence as a sign of weakness. She took that as, she thought she was going to bully me by me sitting at the lunch table not saying nothing, and sitting by myself, and her coming to me and trying to intimidate me. Being in a classroom, her sitting behind me, saying little stuff under her breath, and, just the little things that she would do. I think she took that as me just being quiet, not saying anything, but not realizing, girl, like, I'm at a point where I'm about to explode. So you taking this as, you taking my silence as a sign that I can F with her. She ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna say nothing. But the whole time, I was 2 seconds away from being on your ass, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I think the lunch table, that's what did it for me, right? Because I was just tired. I felt like I had to keep dealing with this girl and she won't letting up, and it seemed like, looking back, it seemed like the more quiet I was, it seemed like the more she kept effing with me, right? So sidebar, it was one particular guy that I really had a big crush on, right? But that's why I always tell y'all, don't go for looks, because you'll see why I mention him. Because looks aren't everything. If a person is a jerk, they are a jerk, right? But little did I know that was her cousin, right? So you'll see why I brought him up, right? So mind you, before when I, before I knew that they were cousins, um when we were on the bus, now I'm getting into what led up to the situation. I'm trying to paint y'all a picture, so y'all, I didn't just want to jump right into the story time. I wanted to build y'all up so y'all could get an idea of why things happened the way that they happened, right? So mind you, before I knew they were cousins, she, sometimes her parents would drop her off at the school, sometimes she would take the bus. So on the particular days when she was not up there, I did not know they were cousins. I did not, but he knew, little did I know, he knew who I was, but I did not know who he was. They didn't have the same last name. They didn't, I didn't really put two and two together because it really was no proof for me. But when I really got a good look at them, I really saw when they were side by side against me, I noticed that they favored, with the nose, the ears, I noticed that they had favor. So nonetheless, I used to try to sit down, little stuff. And, looking back, I didn't really catch a hint that he really wasn't interested. He wasn't, so, that's why I always tell people, pay attention to the signs. The signs will be there. The body language. Instead of him just coming right out and saying, hey, you got beef with my people, I ain't effing with you, da-da-da. He didn't really, but looking back, had I paid attention, the proof was already there that he won't really interested, So nonetheless, you live and you learn. But anyway, so time went by, and she started taking the bus, right? So I'm saying to myself, oh Lord, here she come. But what I did not notice was on the bus, she did not pick with me the way that she picked with me in class and in the lunchroom. And, I told y'all how they were. They were strong in numbers. They were the type of family that they're strong in numbers. But it's like when you get them dolo, I told y'all, to this day, me and bed bugs never fought. Me and food stamps, I threw a chair at her one time in class, and she didn't pick with me no more after that. I think she knew that I meant business because I was tired of her. I told you I was tired of these people. And me and welfare, after we fought, she didn't pick with me no more. So I'm gonna get to that. But anyway, so this what happened, right? So, mind you, I just told y'all how I had a crush on the guy. He wasn't interested. You'll see why I brought him up. He was best friends with another guy. That's gonna be another story time for another day that ended up passing away. And you'll see why each and every single person in this story has a significant role, because you'll see why it contributes to the overall message of the entire video, right? So I'm on the bus, right? So, oh, and another thing, even the bus driver, she plays a big role in the story, going back to don't pay attention to looks. Because you'll see why that's a whole nother story time, which her son ended up passing away as well. But you'll see why I say, let's just say in a nutshell, she tried to hook me up with her son. Long story short, I didn't want him. I wanted the guy on the bus, if that makes sense. And he didn't want me. You see what I'm saying? So when I tell y'all, don't pay attention to looks, go for who makes you happy, do that. Or go for the guy that, don't go for the guy that's because he look good. Because just because he look good don't mean he gonna want you. Don't mean, he gonna treat you right. You'll see why. Each person plays a significant role, even the bus driver, right? Mind you, the bus driver, she won't for me either, because basically for good reasons how I did her son. If that makes sense. Now I'm older, I'm a little more mature, I understand things a lot better. And I couldn't understand why. If anybody had a good reason to be mad at me, it was the bus driver. Anybody on that bus had a good reason to be mad, it was the bus driver, because you'll see why. Of course, she went back and told her son that I was in the guy face that didn't want me, as any mother would. If I had a son, I would go back and tell my son, hey, don't F with her no more, da-da-da, she don't like you like that. Boom. So, we'll get to that, right? So, I'm on the bus. I'm sitting in the front of the bus because I know at this point, when I heard her come on the bus, and mind you, she was quiet. I told y'all how they were when they weren't. Mind you, she ain't got her cousins with her. When we was in the lunchroom and I told y'all how she was picking, mind you, she had cousins over there in the corner. I told y'all they had a very big family, right? We still in the same city, right? So word gets out, right? So I'm sitting in the front of the bus. I'm quiet. I'm minding my business. I told y'all the two guys, they were best friends. They real close. They were real close. We gonna call the guy that I had a crush on. What can we call him? We gonna call him Life. We gonna call him Life because he's doing life in prison. We gonna call him Life. And we gonna call the guy that's his best friend, I don't want to say, I wanted to say, so the guy that I told y'all about, that was his best friend, we gonna call him, Woman Beater. The one that I told y'all passed away. And he was best friends with, Life. We're gonna call him Woman Beater. So that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of people I was dealing with, right? So well, not dealing with, but as far as the people that I was up against, right? So it's crazy now that I look back and I can really put things into perspective. Like, quiet as it's kept, I was beefing with a whole bunch of low lives, right? So upcoming low lives, if that makes sense. Because who would have ever known, right? Especially for people that always have so much to say. But anyway, so with that being said, so I'm on the bus and I'm just sitting there, I'm minding my business, I'm quiet, and so I'm sitting there, and day after day, they picking. So when I heard her come on the bus, and I saw her come on the bus, and I heard him say, "Cuzzo," and she like, "What up, cuz?" I said to myself, oh, Lord, this explains a lot, right? So I said to myself, no wonder he acting like that. And no wonder, but now I'm older, I really see the bigger picture, right? So I already knew that from the moment when I saw all them link up, I said to myself, all these people are connected. And that makes a lot of sense, right? So, mind you, they picking. But the bus driver, she ain't saying nothing because she enjoying it. She's enjoying it because she didn't like the way I did her son, right? So she laughing, she getting her rocks off to this because at this particular time, she probably, which any mother would, you didn't want my son, you wanted this guy. Now look, and that's the human side of her. I understand now, so when, as instead of her being an adult in the matter and saying, hey, y'all chill out, y'all relax, she was laughing with it. She was laughing along. She was adding her 5 cents in it because this was funny to her. You didn't want my son, you wanted him. So there you go, here you go. So, at this particular moment, I'm on the bus. I'm in, how the old saying go, you're in a room full of people. Not really like a room, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you're in a room full of people, but yet you're still all by yourself, if that makes sense. So, me being me, the Leo that I am, I'm going to hold shit down by myself. I don't give a F-U-C-K. If I'm by myself, if I'm by myself, dolo, so be it. I'm not changing shit up. I'm not gonna say what y'all want to hear to keep y'all off my ass. If shit up, it's stuck. Hey, that's just what it is. So, mind you, I'm trying to keep myself together. I'm real quiet. They getting they shit off. So, by me, day after day, ignoring them being the antagonizers that they are, Um, mind you, she not saying nothing. She not saying nothing. I can't say day after day in that moment she was not saying nothing at all. So it got to the point where I was ignoring them so bad they started to go from the back of the bus to the middle of the bus. Okay, mind you, I'm still sitting in the front. So they went from the middle of the bus to sitting behind me on the bus. So mind you, because I'm ignoring them and they're starting to piss them off, right? So by me sitting in the front of the bus, it got to the point where they got right behind me. Because at this point, they tried everything they could to get my attention, and I'm just giving their ass dust, right? So mind you, I just told y'all how they moving from the middle of the bus, from the back of the bus to the middle of the bus, from the middle of the bus to the beginning of the bus, right? So they moving closer. They getting closer because I told y'all I was ignoring them. And those were the type of people that if you ignore them, all they're gonna do is keep going. And that's why I always tell people, even as an adult, when you have a child and let's say they beefing with somebody, sometimes, as much as people say violence is not the answer, sometimes that's the only way shit gonna calm down. That's the only way, because in my experience, when you quiet growing up, a lot of the times people take that as weakness. They take that as a sign of being scared, or they take that as, you won't get busy with them. And I told y'all, which I'm going to get to that, after this happened, I didn't have any more problems out of these people. I mean, the twin sister and everybody else was pissed off that we had fought and they weren't there. Yeah, they said how they, felt. I told y'all, the moment when I threw the chair with her, this was in high school. So mind you, this was after this situation, years later. She was still pissed off about me fighting her twin, and she was still pissed off I had a problem with her cousin way back from elementary school. Now, mind you, to this day, I'm in my mid-20s. I done graduated high school. I done graduated college. I'm going to grad school. If we ain't fought by now, we ain't gonna fight. Because if we was gonna get busy, we should have been did that. So I don't even see these people anymore. So the last time I seen one of them was when I saw Life mugshot on TV when they took him into custody. About, I ain't even gonna tell you the person that passed away because that was a big high profile case. But he's doing life. He's already been sentenced. Okay. So him and some other guys. So anyway, so with that being said, so boom. So I told y'all they was moving in closer, right? So me being quiet, so this is an ongoing thing. Mind you, the bus driver not saying nothing. Looking back, hey, she was the only person on the bus, like I told y'all, the only person on the bus that had a right to be upset with me, okay, because of how I did her son. And you live and you learn. I told y'all situations like that. Looking back, I'm glad I learned that so young. Don't go for looks. Go for the guy that makes you laugh, and the guy that, don't go for because he nice looking. Don't go for that, because a lot of the times the good looking guys are jerks. So I just wanted to point out certain things to you all, for the young girls out there that don't hear it enough. If you haven't heard it before, hear it from me, okay? Looks aren't everything. But anyway, so with that being said, I'm on the bus, and I told y'all they kept picking. I'm quiet, So one particular day was the day that shit went down, okay? So I'm on the bus, I'm quiet, and I told y'all how they was, kept trying to get in, like as far as get closer. And mind you, every time that they moved, she moved with them. If that makes sense. Mind you, these are 3 people plus the bus driver, so you could say 4, right? So I told y'all, it's not gonna be as crowded as a regular school, because mind you, remember we still in the alternative school. So each bus, when for those that been to alternative school, you already know, when you take the bus, Not, well, I take that back, depending on your state and how they regulate things. But this particular alternative school, when they drop you off, they drop you off right in front of your house. So it's gonna be the kids that stay in that particular neighborhood or somewhere close to it. Even if it's not in that particular neighborhood, let's say if it's a neighborhood that's like 5 minutes away, or 10 minutes away, all the kids that stay in that particular neighborhood or closer are gonna take the same bus. So mind you, it's not like a regular school, so it's not gonna be like 30 or 40 kids on the bus. You may only have, let's say for example, in that moment of time, it was only like 4 or 5 of us that stayed in that particular area, if that made sense. So every time they moved, as in far as the 2 boys, she would move with them. But looking back, I knew she wasn't saying nothing. It was just them. They was the one picking guys, right? This the type of people I was dealing with, right? So we're up against. So one particular day, by me ignoring, I would notice, even leading up to that, when he would pick, mind you, the guy that I had the crush on, he was the ringleader. Ironic enough, right? So I told you, the bus driver, she eating this up. She eating this up because I didn't want her son. So she eating this up because he clowning me, and you didn't want my boy, you wanted him, which is human, right? So he's the ringleader. He's the one, like, I would notice when he would say things and I wouldn't respond. He would, somebody get pissed off, like, you don't hear them talking to you. Like, he would say things like, as I was ignoring, he would say, "Hey, fat bitch, you heard me talking to you, fat bitch. Turn around. You heard me talking to you, fat hoe. Da da da." So, and mind you, we kids. That's the type of stuff I was dealing with. So I would just stay turned around, ignoring him, stuff like that, right? So I told y'all, he got behind me one particular day. Now the truth came out later of who really did it, right? So one day he balled up a piece of paper, which I thought it was her at a particular time, but he thought he balled up a piece of paper. My back turned. I told y'all I was quiet, didn't bother nobody. My back turned. He balled up a piece of paper and he threw it at me, so it hit me, right? So this is what started the fight. Okay, so mind you, I told y'all I was already to a point where I was tired. I felt like it was just too much. I done dealt with your cousin since elementary school. I done dealt with your twin sister. I done dealt with all your little flunkies, your little friends that enable y'all to do wrong and pick with people and don't say nothing to y'all, because if they was y'all real friend, they would tell y'all wrong. Which that's gonna be, one of them did later on. But that's gonna be different. That's gonna be a story time for another day. But so I stood up, right? So yeah, so I stand up, right, and I turn around. So I say to them, I say, now y'all got my attention. Who threw it? Right? Which I was listening the whole time, but I was, how you ignoring somebody, trying not to let them get under your skin. So that's why I always tell people, sometimes you have to take it there with people. You have to. Because if you don't, they will not stop. They will not stop. Sometimes you have to. And that's the only way. 80% of the time that they will leave you alone. And I told y'all before, I'm one of those people, once you have a problem with me, it's an ongoing thing. It's one of those things that will not stop. Now, mind you, how they done pick with me and pick with me and pick with me. The one that I fought in this particular situation, mind you, she had a problem. She got to the point where she started speaking, but me being me, one thing I can say about Unibrow, she did not pick the way that welfare had picked prior to us tussling. She did not do that. We did our 1-2 stuff, and that was that. And by the time we got in high school, we got to the point where we were speaking, because she didn't do a lot of picking. Okay, we got it over with. One thing she said that time we was in the hallway, she said, "You know what? If we're gonna do it, let's just go ahead and get it over with." And that was that. I can't say that about her. Her maturity level was a little more like mine. As far as we don't do a lot of picking. Okay? I can't give her that. But welfare, prior to that, she used to pick. Pick. My God, she used to pick real bad. But when we was on the bus, she didn't have that much balls like she had at the table, right? So, in the classroom, right? So, like I told you, I stood around, I said, now who threw it, right? So everybody got quiet. So I took my jacket off real slowly. I had like we had a uniform, but you could wear your own jacket. So I had like my own little snake skin, white and black jacket. And, basically it's leather. So you ain't going to be able to do shit in no leather jacket. So I took it off real slowly, and, I didn't come at them aggressive when I said, who threw it? And nobody had said anything. So I looked at her, me knowing that she likes to pick, but I guess I was giving the guy benefit of the doubt because I knew they picked, but I didn't think they would do a bitch ass move like throw a piece of paper at a female. Like, what was the point of that, right? So, I asked her, I said, was it you that threw the piece of paper at me? And she's, first she got quiet and she said, and if I did? So in that moment, when she said to me out of her flabbers, when she said to me, and if I did, I yawned, right? I did a slow yawn. I act like I was yawning. And I stole off on her ass. Straight like that. And I just kept beating her, like beating her ribs, beating her face, beating her ass, right? So it got to the point where I was punishing this girl so bad. Cause I was so mad, bro. It just seemed like they would not leave me alone. I was tired of it. I already had a lot on me. That's why you have to leave people alone, because you don't know what they are dealing with in their personal life. You don't know what they got on them. You don't know you don't know how much of a struggle it is for them to get up out the bed at night. You do not know. I mean, in the morning, you know what I mean? But I was so tired. I felt like I was dealing with her cousin in elementary school. Ever since elementary school, picking, playing stupid, acting like she don't know what I'm talking about. I kept dealing with her in school. I kept dealing with these guys on the bus. My grandfather was sick it was a lot. It was a lot. And I felt like I was gonna explode. Like I felt like I was gonna explode. And it was to the point where I just was tired. I was so tired. And I felt like it was nothing else for us to do to handle. We can't mediate because I got a problem with all of y'all. Y'all so immature. Y'all won't leave me alone. So it was just, it was something that had to be done. So I got to the point where I was beating this girl so bad, I ended up banging her head in the window. And it got to the point where I was beating her so bad that the guy, Life, that I just told y'all about, he started hitting me. He started hitting me to get me up off of her. And that was a bitch ass move, right? He would tell me, get off of her, right? And me being so pissed off, I'm just not unhanding her. Like, I'm just getting it to her, beating her ribs, beating her face. Like, any way I could hit this girl, I'm popping her ass. And I'm just tired of her. She would not leave me alone. And it's like, the more I was trying to ignore her, the worse she got. And even though she won't like that on the bus, but it was just to the point where, that's why the old saying goes, you never want to be at the receiving end of a lemon. You never want to, because basically you got hit for all the people that did something to me in the past, the present, and the future. You got all that, baby. And you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be a person's punching bag. You do not want to be that. So I was just tired. And she just would not leave me alone. So that's just what it was. And the guy, Life, um, he was to the point where, I told you they family. So he got to the point where he was telling me get up off her, and I said no. She wouldn't leave me alone. So by me beating her ass, and he can't stand to watch because again that's his family, and by his best friend being right there, instigating, hyping it up, I told y'all what type of people these people were. So by me whooping her, he got tired of watching it. He couldn't watch it. They were raised, I've even heard their parents say, if your people losing, if you got to jump in, which I said when I have children, I'm going to be the same way. I'm going to raise them to fight together. But the thing is, the only difference I'm going to make with my children is they're going to know, don't go around starting stuff with people. Don't do that. That's not cool. Just because you got a family that's gonna bark for you, don't go around starting stuff. That's not cool. That's not cool. Yeah, when I have children, I want them to stick together, but I don't want them to be the type of people that start stuff with people just because you got muscle behind you. That's whack. That's really whack. And I'm gonna tell my children to correct each other when they are wrong. We not doing no bullying. We not doing no bullying. I'm not raising my children to bully nobody else's kids, and I'm definitely not taking nobody kids bullying mine. Okay? Because I don't care how many degrees I have. You better believe I'm that ignorant ass mama that's gonna come up there about me and mine. Okay? I don't care. I can speak with. As you can see, I can roll with some of the best of them. I don't give a fuck. Okay? You ain't nobody gonna stuck to me and mine. Like I always say, when I have children, the stuff that I went through growing up, mine's not gonna go through that. Mine's not gonna go through that. Shit gonna get real about me and mine. Know that. So, yeah, I didn't have any more problems after we fought. But another thing I wanted to tell y'all, for the parents of those out there that have hot-headed children, don't be surprised if your child is out here running amok, fighting, whatever. For me, it was always fighting. I didn't really skip school. As you can see, I took pride in, my work and my schoolwork, but it was just my behavior. As my teachers used to always say, don't be surprised if you have a child that's, let's say, for example, always fighting and you can't understand why. If you are the type of parent that every time your child gets home, you say, shut up. Like when Mom, I'm trying to tell you, I said, shut up. And then they, Mom, but I really want to use, you hit them. Don't be surprised if you don't know a lot of stuff. As far as, don't be the type of parent to say, I just don't understand why you don't act right. I just don't understand why. If you the type of parent that every time they say something, you jumping down their throat, how do you think you're supposed to know? You know what I'm saying? So even as an adult, my parents, they still, they will apologize for certain things because, a lot of times, as you're older, you talk about things and you can be a little more open. Like I tried to tell you, remember when you hit me when I tried to tell you how they would do this and do that? And it was to the point where they started to cry sometime. Especially my mama, she would cry because she was like, damn, I did not know that, a lot of things they did not know. I did not know they was messing with you like that. I did not know. I could have handled the situation. But how could you handle the situation if you never bothered to listen? Oh, but I kind of understand because now I'm older, she had a lot on her. And, and all she knew for the most part is, I kept getting suspended. So, and be careful shutting your child down when they're trying to talk to you because that can make them shut down. And you don't want them to shut down because then they can start acting the way I did, where they just did not give a fuck. I told y'all, I got to the point where I was throwing chairs, projectors, anything. I beating bitches with metal poles. I got to the point where I was tired. So you never want your child to get to that point where they just beating people, left and right. You don't want them to get to that point because you never know. I'm one of the lucky ones. God had his hand on me as far as I never went to jail. nothing really bad, really bad had to happen for me to wake up. Yeah, I done been in some fights. I done went through some things, but for the most part, I'm in my mid-20s. I told y'all before, I don't have any children thus far. I have my own car. I have my own crib. You know, I work for the federal government as my main source of income. So for the most part, you know, I started grad school in the fall. So for the most part, I turned out all right. But, you know, that, as we all know, that's not the case for everybody. You know, so try to nip it in the butt early and listen to him. No matter how irritated you get with the child, try to listen to him, because you never know how the situation can be handled. So with that being said, so yeah, y'all, I told y'all how they was raised. They was raised, you know, one fight, all fight. I've heard their parents say that. Actually, they were real big on, if one got a problem, all got a problem. That's just how they were. They didn't have to know nothing that happened. They didn't have to know, which that's gonna bring me to my last point, close to the end, which we are headed towards the end. But that's gonna bring me to my last point about, you know, they don't have to know what's going on. You know, if it's a problem, it's a problem. So yeah, so by me beating her ass, they trying to get me up off of her. I told y'all I was so pissed. It was like a pit bull at this point. Like, I'm locked in on her. Like, I'm pissed. So he got to the point where he got so tired of me beating on this girl, he would say, let her go. And then he said, if you don't let her go, I'ma steal off on your ass, right? So I'm like, F you, F you, F you. So he punched me right in the back of the head, right? So I'm still beating her, right? I'm still beating her. And I said to him, I said, the more you hit me, the more I'm gonna hit her, right? So he said, well, I'm gonna just keep busting you upside your head till you let her go, right? So he said, let her go. And I say no. He be like, And then I say, I punch her right in. He'll be like, let her go. And I'm like, And then it was just like, every time I punch him, he be like, So it got to the point where they were trying to get me up off her. Mind you, I told y'all the bus driver was already still pissed off with me too. So it got to the point where, mind you, the bus not already parked. The bus been parked. So she got to the point where she started adding in her licks too. Like, she started adding in her licks too. So mind you, I'm on her, but they on me. You get what I'm saying? So the best friend that I told y'all about, he was adding in his little kicks too. He sure was. So looking back, oh my goodness. So with that being said, so which the bus driver ended up getting in trouble after that. But and I told my dudes about that, all the extras, once I got older, and she was crying. She was like, I did not know all them people was adding in all them licks on you like that. I did not know that. You told me you was fighting her, but you did not tell me everything. And see, it goes back to, like, when I tell y'all, when y'all children are quiet, it's a reason for that, you know. And like I told her, I said, Mom, I tried to tell you when I got home, but she was so stuck on me being suspended. So after I got suspended, I still had to get a beating from her when I got home, because yet again I'm suspended. But it wasn't until I got older and I got grown in my own crib and stuff that I was able to, you know, tell her, Mom, a lot of times when I would try to tell you somebody did something to me, you know, you wouldn't listen. You would just, you know how, for those of us that have black mamas that know how black mamas can be sometimes, y'all know how they sometimes they don't listen and stuff. Like, they'll say you can talk to me about anything, but can you really talk to them about everything? So I tried to tell her, I said, Mom, you didn't find it strange that I kept fighting. You didn't find it strange that, and now that I'm older, she has apologized to me on multiple occasions about just things she did not listen to. And I tried to tell her, I said, Mom, I came home and told you how, you know, she was like, well, you told me you got into a fight. You didn't tell me all this stuff. It just kept building up. And I told y'all I was really quiet because I had got to the point where I was just starting to shut down. And that's why even as an adult, she hates when I just get too quiet because she knows how I get, So I said, "Ma, I tried to come home and tell you, but all you heard was I got suspended for 10 days. At this point, after this fight, I got long-term suspended. After this, and I told y'all, so going back to the story, long story short, so I can wrap this story time up. Long story short, the bus drivers were trained to, with the alternative school kids, call the director, and which was the principal and assistant principal. They were not trained to call the police. So by them dealing with unruly kids, they were trained to handle us. Like, they know how to unlock us. Like, when they came, they said we were locked like pit bulls. That's how bad, So just my luck, I'm glad that they came, because the assistant principal, he said all he saw was from, mind you, I'm on top of this girl, so I'm on the seat, right? I'm on top of this girl on the seat. So the guy, they adding in their kicks and, everything like that to get me up off of her. But he saw, I'm going to say the guy's name, he saw life hitting me upside my head. So the assistant principal, she was like, why is you hitting that girl like that? So she was like tapping the guy, I'm going to say his name, the principal. She was tapping him like, why is he busting and hitting? Like, she was like, why he busting her upside her head like that? Why is he doing that? So he stopped once he saw the people. He said, well, she won't get off my cousin. She won't get off my cousin. And she was like, well, you don't be hitting no female like that. What the hell wrong with you, boy? So he ended up getting expelled for that too, because they saw with their own eyes how he was hitting me from behind like that. So after that, they ended up, pulling us apart, pulling me up off of her. And after that, her parents came up to the school. My parents was already up there, but by me already being in a lot more trouble, plus, what had just happened, her mama was going off because she had saw her face, and she was upset about that. And my parents was going off on me. I told y'all my grandfather was already sick, so my mama had a lot on her mind. And I kept getting in trouble, So with that being said, her parents was in and out, because she was getting in trouble. But I told y'all this wasn't my first fight. Okay, so I told y'all I was at a point where I was just, so you already know what's next. At this point, I was a repeat offender, and plus my face didn't look nowhere near close to hers. Her parents had the nerve to talk about pressing charges, right? So she didn't want her mama to be pressing charges. She said she not no snitch. She don't want to be known for how people are. They don't want to be known for getting the law involved. So she told them not to, right? So with that being said, my parents was going off on me. And that's another thing that I have spoke with my parents about since I've been an adult, about how you went off on me for getting suspended in front of them. And it looks like, it just, like I told her, I said, her mama would have never embarrassed her like that. Her mama would have never did no mess like that. But you went out, you gave them, you never get an enemy something to laugh at. And since I've been an adult, that's something else that she has apologized to me about, because like she says, I did not know everything that had happened. I did not know they were doing that. I did not know you. How can I know if you don't tell me? I could have went up to the school. I could have did anything. But like I told her, a lot of times you would scream and you just wouldn't let me get my point across. So I just got to the point, I was like, F it, I'm going to handle it myself. So, and unfortunately, that's something that happens a lot, as children are getting older. Their parents don't listen to them, and it's just, so, after that, I was long-term suspended. So for those of people that don't know what that means where, you are, you're homeschooled. Which I won't really supposed to be homeschooled. Once you're long-term suspended, you're not supposed to be able to get your work. But by me being so smart, my teachers will always say, even when I was in regular school, alternative school, whatever school, they will always say she could go very far if she get her attitude and her temper together, right? So, mind you, this was middle school, so I went to high school with a 3.0 GPA. So I told y'all, even though I was long-term suspended, the principal had made it clear to my parents that he was like, I'm not supposed to do this, but we look at her grades and she's very gifted, but her behavior, so we cannot have her here. So mind you, I told y'all her parents had already left, and mind you, she only got 3 days. Matter of fact, not only did she get 3 days, she was able to go back to regular school while I was long-term suspended. The guy that was hitting me, he got expelled point blank period. They didn't even let him get his work. I overheard them talking about that. They said it won't no need for him to be in school because he won't really doing his work no way. I would still do my work. Even if I was mad, I would still do my work, right? So, mind you, fast forwarding a little bit, I was doing my schoolwork. My dudes would take it back up to the school to let the teachers grade it. I had a 3.0 GPA, so I got to high school, right? I lied to you not, that girl welfare that I told you about that I fought on the bus. She ended up, she didn't mess with me no more after that, really. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think of one time she stepped out of line. I don't think I had any more problems out of her. Even when her family used to pick on me after that, she didn't say anything else to me after that. Even when she would walk with her sister down the hallway, her sister would say her twin I told you about named food stamps. She never she would pick, but welfare after we fought on the bus, I didn't have any more problems out of her. Yeah, I didn't have any more problems out of her at all. So yeah, boom. So I'm gonna give y'all the unibrow bus ramp story time one day. That was a whole nother situation. But looking back, now that I'm older, Musty definitely was instigating between me and Unibrow, because I told y'all once we got to high school, me and Unibrow got on speaking terms. And she actually she was speaking, she would always speak first. She did, and it seemed like, you could tell when somebody not, some people could speak, but you could tell they trying to be funny like that. Hey, or the hello, or that, But she would actually say, good morning, so-and-so. The so-and-so is my name. Or she would say, how you doing? You could tell she really wasn't on no BS. So I would speak back, and we actually got to the point where she even, would give me compliments sometime, and I would say thank you. Did I give her compliments? No. But it wasn't nothing to compliment. Okay, I'm just being honest. But anyway, but I would speak back. But we got to the point actually one day where that's gonna be a story time where she said, and yeah, I always wanted to tell you. And I kind of jumped for a little bit because I was telling myself, I know she's not coming with no BS. And she was like, no, I'm not, I'm not coming like that. But I just always wanted to tell you, I never said anything about you. And I couldn't understand why, you would even say that I did. Evidently Musty came to me and told me something that Unibrow had said, and Unibrow had told me in that moment. She said I couldn't understand why it seemed like she was trying to get me to fight you or you to fight me, because how could I have said it about you when you weren't even in the building? You were nowhere around, so how could I have even said that? Evidently it was some type of a house party. You know, my dudes, whether I was in trouble or not, my dudes never allowed me to go to house parties. They were older. I told y'all before, they didn't believe in house parties. They didn't believe in it. Whether I was in trouble or not, they won't letting me go. But I told y'all, Musty, that's the person I told y'all I have mentioned to y'all before that turned out to be a stripper. We was thick as thieves back in the day. That's, y'all probably heard me mention her before. Um, but nonetheless, Musty said, you know, we had talked about it, and she said I couldn't even understand. Evidently, Unibrow had said she told Musty that she was stinking up the living room. And you know, it was a problem, but instead of Musty just coming back and telling me, hey, this girl hurt my feelings, or this girl da da da, you know, just venting to me about it, it seemed like the girl pissed her off. So it seemed like she was just trying to get me to get on her. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, anyway, looking back, that's what she was doing, because like Musty said, my problem was with her. I didn't even know you to have a problem with you. So where did that come from? But anyway, so that was that. So essentially I'm about to wrap this up. I wanted to give y'all a cute little story time. As an adult, I look back on this time period in my life. As far as, you know, that story time, I can look back now, and when I get discouraged about something, or if I get down, I think about this situation, you know, as far as, you know, the school bus fight, because I look back on, you know, that particular situation upon many other situations that I went through, and I look back and I realize how far I've come. You know, the guy, the best friend I told you about in the story, he passed away. Okay. I told y'all life is doing life. That's not his name, but I'm just giving him that nickname for the purposes of, you know, keeping people's identity. The twin that I told you about in the story that I was fighting, welfare, she's literally on the welfare. And I know this for a fact. Okay. Her twin sister, food stamps, she's literally on food stamps. Last time I seen her, she was on social media, waiting on the stamps to be loaded on her card. Okay. Literally. So, not to say that's the worst thing in the world, but I'm just letting you know, I just wanted to give y'all hope of every single person in this story time has a significant role. So I wanted to give y'all the whole from the beginning, that way you'll know what led up to it, because you ever heard a story and then it's like they start off from the middle. But you know, I'm one of those people. Even as a adult, if I see something, I'm not one of those people that, you know how you could be in a store, you heard or you experience somebody just catching the middle of it, and well, I saw it from the beginning. You don't know, you saw it from this particular moment. You know, if you weren't there from day one, you don't know the moments leading up to something. Okay. People gonna tell you what they want to tell you, and even if you did see it from that moment when the person first walked up, did you see it from the beginning? Because a lot of the times in this particular lifetime, I feel people catch stuff from the middle, or they catch the reaction. They don't catch the moments leading up to it, if that makes sense. I told y'all, after I fought her on the bus, her family was upset about it, but she didn't even talk about it anymore. I told y'all, after I fought her in high school, I ended up fighting her cousin. You see what I'm saying? She wanted to know what happened. She was so upset about her cousin's face. But like I told her, your cousin used to pick with me a lot. That's not what I was told. You see what I'm saying? People are going to tell what they want to tell. They're going to tell their version of the story. They're going to tell, y'all heard my stomach. Y'all know I'm on my fast. But they're going to tell their side. They're not going to tell you all the facts. So, even after we fought, it's been moments where I told y'all food stamps was still picked, but welfare didn't pick anymore after that. That was she. I didn't have no more problems after her. Out of her after that. I didn't have any more problems out of her after that. I remember one time, I told y'all how the cousin was. She got to the point where they were all hang together, walk together, da da da, and I told her, I said, yo, believe it or not, your cousin them, they be picking. Nah, not them. They don't pick. We not mean girls. We don't do that. I said, yes, y'all are. Yes, y'all are. So, one particular time I was just walking, going to gym. This in high school, right? And the cousin, this gonna be a story time, a whole nother story time as well. I'm walking or whatever, and she had said something. And her cousin, we just gonna call her Yellow Teeth, right? Her cousin, Yellow Teeth, had said, why you say that? And she said, Food Stand said, say what? And she said, say what you said. And she said, that girl was just walking. She won't say nothing to you. And she said, I ain't saying that. She said, I sat right there and heard you say something to that girl. Why did you do that? She won't say nothing to you. And that was that, she said, no. She said, I heard you. You did say that. That girl won't say nothing to you. So this gonna be a whole nother story time. So they ended up falling out. Because she checked her on that. And it's been multiple occasions where she has heard her say something to me and I kept walking. And they ended up falling out. Because I told y'all those were the type of people that if you tell them that they are wrong, you are considered an enemy. So, which it looked like she didn't even care. She said, I don't deal with mean girls. I don't do that. I don't like mean girls. So they ended up falling out because she was basically, I wouldn't say sticking up for me, but she was basically pulling her people card like, y'all wrong, So, so I just wanted to give y'all a story time for the people out there that, the young, the old, whoever, if you ever get to a point where you are, overwhelmed, try to talk to somebody that's going to listen, or, don't get like I did, because you don't know if you'll be as fortunate as me, as far as able to keep doing stuff. And not to say, try not to ball up your fist every time you get upset, if that makes sense. And don't ever feel like you want to drop out, or for me, don't ever get to the point where you just starting to wild out because you just so tired. Talk to somebody. They pay people for that. And stay in school. Keep your head up. Don't let nobody discourage you. Don't let nobody make you feel like you are nothing. Don't let nobody words get to you. Don't. Because F these people. You are somebody. If ain't nobody never told you, I'm telling you now, you are somebody. You are capable. You are worthy. You are self-sufficient. You are independent. You are beautiful. Whether you small, fat, short, tall, stocky, dark, white, black, yellow, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Hispanic, whoever you are beautiful. Inside and out. And I don't care, like the kids used to pick on me in middle school, talking about, you wear Rockaway. Don't nobody wear Rockaway, apple bottoms and more. I told you I wear what I wanted to wear. I'm my own person. I'm a Leo. One thing about it, I know how to stand by myself. I'm a lioness. So you are strong. Don't let nobody make you feel like you ain't nothing. So what? If you want to wear purple with green, wear purple with green. If you want to wear pink with yellow in your hair, wear pink with yellow in your hair. If you got a speech impediment like me, so what? It wasn't until I was an adult that I actually came out and told people I had a speech impediment. Because that was something that I was ashamed of when I was younger. But it took for me to actually get around people that didn't mock me for it. And say, hey, it's okay. So what? So what? We all have something. And when I run into people that mock me about it, I just don't deal with them. because I realize they are childish and they are small-minded and they are not somebody I need to be around. So, if you gonna mock me for the way I pronounce my words or the way I stutter sometimes, F you. I don't need to be around you. You don't need to be around me. So, in closing, do what you need to do for you. Hold your head up high. A lot of the times growing up, when people used to say stuff to me, and I would, how you go into gym and everybody in there, how gym class was in middle school. Hold your head up high. Don't let them make you feel like you gotta put your head down as a a defense mechanism for nobody to say nothing to you. People gonna say something to you anyway. So hold your head up high. F them people. I told y'all, I just gave y'all the rundown of all the people that, these are not all the people, but as far as this particular story time, these are the main characters. Okay, even the bus driver, her son passed away in high school. I want to say we was in the 12th grade when he passed away. So, my cousin, when I told her the story, which was kind of harsh, just a little bit, I think so, but I told her that was harsh. She said, girl, I'm taking up for you, but I wouldn't say nothing like that. But I told her how he passed away, and my cousin was just like, life comes back in a funny way, because my cousin felt that even though she was upset for how I did her son, and her exact words were, you can't just be hitting other people's kids, because you mad somebody hurt your son's feelings. Life has a funny way of getting people back for what they do to people. But I wouldn't basically, if you say something like that, you're basically saying that's why beep, beep, fill in the blanks. But I wouldn't say that. I'm sure we've all heard that saying, stuff comes back in different ways, but I wouldn't say all that. God rest his soul. And even looking back, even though she did what she did to me, as far as, even when I got older, I ran into her in the store, and she apologized for that. She told me that it was very childish of her to do that, and she shouldn't have did that. And she thought about that numerous times. She shouldn't have did that. And I told her, I said her apology, which my dudes told me I shouldn't have accepted that shit. But and I apologized to her, and my dude said I shouldn't apologize to her. But I apologized to her because, like I told her, from what I heard as a mother, when your child hurt, you hurt. Because, and like she told me, she said, my son really did like you, and it really did hurt his feelings, which you had did, as far as liking that other guy and not talking to him. And, so with that being said, I think it's multiple lessons to be learned in this story time. Take it with you, take what you want. How the old saying go, chew the meat, spit out the bones. If you don't like it, thumbs down, and I don't care. But for the people out there that really took something away from this story, may God bless you. May God bless you all, really. But life is precious. And, don't let people get you down. And I can't tell nobody walk away. As you can see, I'm not really that good at it myself. So I'm working on it, though. But what I can tell you is, in your darkest hours and your moments where you feel like you cannot go on, focus on the things that matter. Don't let, for example, you said, don't let your schoolwork fall behind. Don't let your homework fall behind. If it's work, you depressed, don't just wake up and say, I'm not going to work today, I'm depressed. If you do, let it be one day. Don't let it keep being every single day. If you got to leave early, leave early. As you can see, even though I was depressed a lot of the times, I still did my schoolwork. So for me, that was my therapy. That was something that I had to focus on, that I knew would pay off in the end. As you could see that, right? just even by my life. I went through a lot of stuff growing up. Still went to high school. And matter of fact, I told you how I went to high school with a 3.0 GPA. None of those kids that picked on me, none of them were on the stage with me. When you go to orientation for the incoming ninth graders, you know what I mean? Because by the time I got in high school, I was back in regular school. They do like a certificate of all, like a little ceremony for all the people that was coming in with high GPAs from middle school. None of those people that I told you about, those families, Musty had dropped out by the time she was in the 10th grade. She was already in the club. Y'all remember Musty? I told y'all about. She was already in the clubs with fake IDs. Okay. I just told y'all life was getting into trouble. Food stamps used to spend time a lot of times with her boyfriend. I knew this for a fact. I knew sometime for a fact she could come in our class, start fights, and leave with her boyfriend. Who's the other one? Welfare. She wasn't on the stage either. So, I was the only one that, was on the stage that came in, maintained my good GPA. High school, I graduated. Welfare graduated. Food stamps graduated. And that's it. I already gave y'all the update of everybody else. But as you all know, I done furthered my education even more. And you could tell by these people's nicknames where they are in their life right now. So, with that being said, I just wanted to give y'all an example. If y'all can't find no other sign of hope, this is your sign right here. This is your sign right here. I done already told y'all the 411 with me. This is your sign right here. Use this as hope that you should push forward. Okay? And don't ever let nobody make you feel like you nobody. You are somebody. So, that's it.